Hi everyone, it's Lisa from A Simple Season. There has been such a resurgence recently of people interested in living a more traditional, slower life. And we can take so many hints from our parents and our grandparents on how they did that. And there's so many advantages to a traditional lifestyle because it helps us live more intentionally, more simply. It helps us prepare better for the future, manage our time better. It's just all around good stuff. So let's have a look at some of the things that they did that we can incorporate into our modern day living. Start a victory garden. If you don't know the history of victory gardens, they started during World War I when the food supply became strained and people were digging up their front yards and their backyards to grow food. People also planted in public parks like the Golden Gate Park, which had over 800 gardens. And everyone's efforts to grow food in these public spaces and in their home gardens actually produced 40% of all the vegetables that were consumed in the United States during that time. And their efforts were so successful that they carried this tradition on into World War II as well. And I'll show you one of the things I have growing in my little victory garden. These are just some lettuce seeds that I planted a couple of weeks ago. And the thing about lettuce is it's one of the easiest things to grow and one of the most expensive things to buy at the grocery store. So you just sow your seeds, and when they sprout, you wait till they get it to be a couple of inches tall, and then you just use a spoon and gently transplant them either to a larger container or put them in your garden. And if you keep sowing seeds every few weeks, you can have lettuce all summer long. Also, herbs are a great thing to grow because that's another thing that's expensive to buy at the store. Sometimes $3 or $4 for a small container of fresh herbs. And they are so easy to grow and they don't take up a lot of space. You can put them in containers on a sunny balcony or in your garden and you're good to go. And if you're choosing herbs like basil or parsley, you'll likely have to plant them every year. But if you choose other herbs like chives or sage or rosemary or mint, you only need to buy the starts once and they will come back year after year and you'll be able to enjoy them season after season. The next thing is buy in bulk. Not only will you get some of the lowest prices on pantry staples such as rice, pasta, oats, coffee, and flour. Also think of things like socks, tinfoil, garbage bags, detergent, or anything else that you use on a regular basis. Buying in bulk is one of the best ways to save money on those items. If you do choose to buy your pantry staples in bulk, make sure that you're packaging them up well so that they stay fresh for the longest period of time possible. And if you want to know how to do that, I will link a video up above on how that's done if you want to check it out. You can also buy your produce in bulk as well. If you go in with a friend or two, say you want to can tomatoes or you want strawberries to make jam, see if you can source a local farmer that has those things and you'll get the freshest produce available and a good price if you're buying a big amount. People in generations past also knew how to make more things from scratch, whether it's knowing how to make your own bread or make your own spice mixes or your own laundry detergent or growing and drying your own mint for tea. These are all things that our grandparents and great-grandparents made that we pay for now. So these are all good skills to cultivate and know how to do in our modern age. Also, people put in a lot of effort into maintaining the things that they had. And it may be more difficult for us today because things just don't seem to be made as well as they used to be and they don't seem to last as long. But we can still put in the effort to maintain things like our appliances and tools and even clothing so that they last as long as possible. And it may just be something simple as putting an apron over your clothing when you're doing a messy job or when we're cooking so that we don't have to wash that item as often and it will last longer. Basic sewing skills. Before our modern era, knowing how to sew was an essential skill, and not only making things like clothing or curtains, but also other handiwork like knitting was highly valued as well. As some of you know, my parents grew up in Italy, and my mom, who is 85 now, has lots of stories about what it was like to grow up in an old-fashioned way of life. And one of the stories that she tells was when she was newly married, she went to go visit my great-grandmother. And my great-grandmother was born in the 1870s, and she was a pretty tough farm lady. And my mom went to go visit her this one day, and she was working on her loom making socks. And my mom saw her and said, "Oh, you're making socks. I don't know how to make socks. If I bring you some wool, do you think you'd be able to make some for me?" And my great-grandmother looked at her and said, "If you didn't know how to make socks, you had no business getting married." Needless to say, my mom regretted ever opening her mouth. Back in those days, you had to know how to make or produce a lot of the items that you used every day. So things like socks and cleaning products and knowing how to make things from scratch and grow a lot of your own food were all essential skills that you had to have if you were starting your own household. Now, in our modern era, it may not be essential that we know how to sew clothes, though it is a wonderful skill to have. But knowing how to sew on a button or mend a tear or hem a pair of pants are all great skills to have just to help your clothes last a little bit longer and help you not replace them as often. Another thing people did in times past was make their own cleaning products. So I'm going to show you a really easy all-purpose cleaner you can make with things that I guarantee you probably have in your cupboard already. So you just need an empty spray bottle, and it can be one that you recycled, or you can get a glass one like this. And what we're going to do is just start by putting in 2 cups of water. Then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of vinegar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 tablespoon of your favorite dish soap. So now your cleaner is done. You can leave it just like this and use it, or if you like, you can also add 10 or 12 drops of your favorite essential oil. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add a little bit of mint. So this is a great cleaner to use for all those everyday jobs around the house. You can use it on countertops, for cabinets, for cleaning floors in the bathroom, and it also doesn't have a lot of chemicals, which is great too. Also, it's a great idea to batch cook. A big pot of soup, a big pot of chili, your favorite pasta dish or cabbage rolls, portion them out into individual meals and put them in the freezer, and it will save you a bunch of time and money because none of the ingredients are being wasted. It's all going into meals, and then you'll have meals ready when you want them. And of course, this also makes having a freezer a great investment. It doesn't cost that much money to operate one, and having an extra freezer full of meals ready to go is such a time saver. So hopefully you found some of these tips to be helpful to make your life a little bit slower, a little bit simpler, and a little bit better. Take care, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next one.